Previously, we discussed and framed a definition for risk and risk management. For a quick recap, risk was defined as uncertainty on the achievement of your objectives, and risk management was framed as the systematic application of management policies, procedures, and practices to the tasks of establishing the context, identifying, analyzing, assessing, treating, monitoring, and finally communicating risk. Have you perhaps considered why we need risk management or what the purpose of risk management is? Essentially, there are two main drivers why organizations devote time, money, and effort to the development and maintenance of their risk management regimes. The first is for legislative compliance reasons, whereby organizations in both the public and private sector domains are required to ensure effective corporate governance arrangements are in place. Having a risk management regime in place is therefore seen as a necessary component of a corporate governance framework. In addition to the legislative compliance requirement, is that risk management is now considered to be part of good management practice, with its outcomes being used to inform management decision-making. The quality of managerial practices are gaining increasing traction by investors, financiers, and stakeholders alike. In further support of good management practice, we are increasingly observing risk management in a project setting as potentially the most important activity or part of the project management planning process. When project managers are able to consider risk to their project objectives at the outset of their project, they can then begin the process of identifying, analyzing, and assessing, and finally developing appropriate responses to these risks to proactively inform their project management team's decision-making. A key purpose of risk management is to therefore identify potential opportunities or problems before they occur, so that risk management activities may be planned and implemented as needed across the life cycle of the project in order to leverage opportunities and mitigate adverse impacts. Developing an understanding early on is important, as it is typically easier, less costly, and far less disruptive to make changes and review prior decisions during the earlier phases of the project. Without effective risk management processes in place, you may move to the execution phase and an unforeseen risk may trigger. To deal with this type of surprise in a reactive manner, you may only then find out that your schedule is not realistic, your budget comes under pressure, or your quality is below par. All of these resulting in your overall project objectives being severely compromised as you try to deal with the resultant impact before you. In reviewing a number of unsuccessful projects, it has been found that projects were often rushed into the execution phase. As a result, insufficient time had been spent on proper risk management processes prior to commencing with project implementation or execution. Project risks were either not considered or alternatively were identified and analyzed in a random brainstorming fashion without a coherent plan and process in place. It is important to be mindful that even with thorough risk management planning in executing your project, you may still encounter unexpected or unanticipated risks that have to be dealt with on an emergency type basis. A risk planning and management framework will, however, reduce the occurrence and impact of such risks if they occur. As previously mentioned, it is essential that the risk management process is embedded as managerial practice throughout your organization and not simply adopted as a tick-the-box compliance exercise, but is used to inform and support quality decision-making.